And if I'm thinking about it as well, um, aside from Dr. Smith not being an effective leader to the regard of he should have addressed something like this beforehand, her behavior in the classroom, the way she structured her classroom beforehand. However, in this situation, and I don't want to come across insensitive, but I believe Miss Tate, and I'm thinking this the whole entire time, uh, she might have had a mild overreaction. Um, so I understand 2019, school violence has become an escalated and a higher topic and more commonplace than what we'd like. Um, so understandably so, it's easy to be concerned with a student kind of giving the threat of killing, um, but also it wasn't that. It was who wants Miss Tate to disappear. It wasn't like who would like me to go ahead and cut her or take her life or something like that. I don't know. I might be reading too far into that as well, and I might be um, slightly over analyzing it from to that regard. What I've been feeling, so like throughout this whole entire thing, I've been feeling like this has to be stopped and prevented. It's unacceptable in any manner of way. It's just childish. So that's part of my feeling towards it. Miss Tate's strictness doesn't merit the response of the students to go that way. Um, so I felt like I've grown up in classrooms where we had really strict teachers, and in fact, I can think of my college, Dr. Mellinger, like going into it, you heard she was strict. She was really hardcore. She graded hard. We didn't complain about it. We didn't create a Facebook page. Like some of my lower grades in college came in that, and it wasn't because she was so strict and mean about the way she graded. It was because she cared, and she cared enough to want the best. And so she would grade you what you deserved. If you didn't put out enough effort, or you did the assignment the night before, she could pick up on that. She knew that. And you got the grade you earned. It wasn't that she gave you it. You earned what she gave you. So in this regard, yes, she's got a rigorous course load, but her students, the grades they're receiving are what they earned. If it's all across the boards and it's not just one student, then it's what they earned. Not her being strict. Yes, she has a higher threshold, but it's not her going through and saying, it's her having a standard of excellence in the classes she's teaching, as she's a specialist teacher. A student going into a zoology, a genetics, a botany class, that's more of an advanced class. I'd like to think of myself as a relatively smart student when I was in high school. I don't know about now, but I wouldn't be caught dead in one of those classes because I felt like it was very difficult. So I don't think her strictness in that class merits the response of the student or those classes. And I feel like based on the way Dr. Smith approached everything and his verbiage and dialogue he had with Miss Tate following her initial discovery of the email seemed to be more aligned with the students. It kind of felt evident that he had given her feedback to improve. She didn't, and now it's just like, well, I think it's a prank. Just kind of to the degree of, I don't know, disregard. More like, well, you kind of deserved it. That's how I felt reading it. That's how I interpreted it. So throughout this whole entire thing, what I was valuing was the established institution of education. It's school. It serves a purpose. And it sounds like it's a very high-profile school. And it sounds like the students in that school who are affluent are also very intelligent because the school has that reputation of being highly regarded. So I valued the establishment of education, of that institute, because the purpose of it, when it all comes down to it, is to get an equal education for all. And when stuff like this happens, it affects everyone. Because most schools' responses to this will not openly target and shouldn't openly target the students directly involved. But every student is now involved in it. And to protect the institution, to value the institution of education, it's important to put a stop to things like this and to put plans in place to prevent them in the future, because this is already going to inhibit equal education and equal opportunities, because we are going to have to take time out of their educational schedule, out of their curriculum, to educate them on this, which is awesome in one, but we don't want it to do it again in two. So I value the ability to teach a modern lesson to students. Every student that you come in contact with, I'll throw a 9 out of 10, has one of these, has a phone that they are using social media on in one way or another. Whether they're an active participant, they have an account, or there's someone who's viewing content. YouTube is now considered a social media. G+ is considered a social media. DeviantArt, Pinterest. You don't even have to have an account necessarily to view Pinterest. You can be on it. Some form of social media. So this is an opportunity, and it gives us the ability to teach a modern lesson to students for their future about proper social media use. Then I just valued the environment in Miss Tate's classroom on top of all of this. I wanted her classroom to be something that she felt safe in, that students were actually fostering a learning environment, and it wasn't very hostile. And that's evident in the fact that I wanted her classroom to die down after this situation was handled. What's left? Wanted to know who sent the email to Miss Tate and why. Wanted to know if the page was created or commented on during school hours. Does Miss Tate have a predisposition towards William Hall? Who created the page? And what is the school's policy on instances like this? Reflection. I handled this situation with integrity by ensuring that throughout the investigation, that the details of the situation were controlled, the privacy of the individuals was protected, but at the same time, the other students were educated for the future. The integrity aspect of that is I have a right, I have a duty to act. I made sure to address the situation, not just address it, but act with brevity and succinctness. In my plan, I ensured that I handled all the issues in this scenario with the same degree of attention, not disregarding the impact or severity of any issue. Across the boards. Who created it? Was it created on school policy? Does our school Wi-Fi have access to this? Was it done on school time? Was it done on school resources? Was it used on a school computer? Let's track down the IP address. I wanted to address everything. Fairness. I remained neutral in my actions and decisions. Miss Tate and the students involved both had repercussions as a result of their involvement or build-up to the situation. There's going to be repercussions for the students no matter what. Miss Tate's repercussions are going to be the fact that we need to take what led up to this and we need to address it so that it prevents it for the future. So it's not like Miss Tate can just keep going along with the way that she handled herself in her classroom environment. Although my personal beliefs with the strictness of it, disregard that. I consulted policy and precedent as well as my peer group to ensure the investigation and decision-making process had some outline and direction and that I wasn't just acting on my own whim. I didn't come up with it on my own. In all fairness, I consulted people. I wanted to see if what I came up with or my thought process was aligning with what they thought would be the right move. My dialogue throughout the process would remain neutral, including the fact that although Miss Tate is the victim from the aspect of cyberbullying, consoling her will not necessarily get the results. So, albeit Dr. Smith took the approach of, I think it's a prank. I think it's just joking around. They're just messing around. I didn't take the exact opposite approach. I kind of met in the middle. I wasn't going to say like, we'll make sure everything's okay and you're safe, because that's not going to get down to the root cause. Ultimately, that's not going to look fair to the students when I side with her completely and entirely, as I should as her employer, and she's my employee. However, I don't need to baby her on this. I need to address the situation and take care of it and ensure her safety through my actions rather than my words in this aspect. As well as with the students, I need to remain fair in establishing that it wasn't all of them, it was some of them, and that the crime that they did, the time that they will serve for it, the repercussions will fit that. So Miss Tate and the students both receive repercussions out of this. Ethically, I worked to protect the safety of my employee to meet my duty of care, and that we would work to eliminate the feeling of the perceived threat. But I'm not going to sit there and baby her, as I said. So I did my due diligence, my ethical duty to my employee. Unlike Dr. Smith, I kept her feelings out of it, however. I didn't belittle her, but I didn't necessarily support her panic and her fearfulness, because I know that I will do everything within my power to address this situation and to resolve this situation as quickly and as wholly as possible. And I did ensure to keep the personal details of the investigation confidential. You don't see me talking to my assistant principal at the water cooler about this situation. I did my due diligence to follow policy and precedent in regard to these issues, as well as to document what was going on. And then I have a duty to act in the education of these students. I made sure to educate them on the dangers and consequences of improper social media use so that ideally this would be prevented in the future. The end. Sorry it took so long, guys.